One of the most important components in any Formula One team is the driver. Risking his life on the track and enjoying a millionaire's lifestyle off it, he's the star of the Grand Prix circus, but at the same time needs to be protected, encouraged or flattered to ensure he performs on the track.
I feel very happy at Benetton. We have two very experienced drivers.
Drivers are very bizarre and odd people. They're strange just by the very nature of what the sport is.
Driver has a big ego, and he thinks it's wrong to recognize only the drivers.
At Benetton, drivers Berger and Alesi are two of the best paid men in Formula One. Despite the multimillionaire status, both men know much is expected of them in a business that's unrivaled for pressure.
No relax at all, no relax, except when I go to bed.
It's just exist in one thing, and it's to go as quick as possible and beat the others.
The pressure's increasing within Benetton because young test driver Alexander Wurz is one of a new hungry pack of emerging stars in Formula One. For drivers in the 30s like Alesi and Berger, the pressure to keep the young stars at bay is constant.
You know, when you ask a hill climber what he want to do, he said he want to go to the highest mountain, to the Mount Everest, and I want to go to the highest class which we have in motorsport. This is Formula One, and reach the highest level you can, which is obviously the Formula One World Championship title.
Managing director Flavio Briatore is still to decide who will drive for him in the 1998 season, and with Alesi and Berger coming to the end of their two-year contracts, they're keen to impress, knowing that young talent like Wurz is waiting in the wings. Despite the smiles at this season's car launch, Briatore sent an early warning to his drivers that he held the opposition in high regard.
I believe Ferrari is the strong one, because Ferrari have everything to win, have all the engineering, driver, the best driver, and Schumacher we know is the best. Ferrari we know this year is very strong. You have a five driver, maybe Schumacher is the big star. After that, I don't believe it's nobody. It is Gerhard and Jean is strong like anybody else. Schumacher left us very late because we negotiated with him after the offer of Ferrari was better. And in this time was only the two drivers available in the market. You only take what is available.
Clearly not his first choices, Berger and Alesi have remained friends throughout. They were teammates for 3 years at Ferrari, and now in the second year together at Benetton, they have the longest driver partnership in Formula One.
The teammate is the best friend you can have if it's a fair guy. And with Gerhard we have a very good relationship. We spent 3 years in Ferrari. Now it's our second year together, and he gives us many possibilities in many occasions to be friends.
We are as teammates, close friends. Outside we have different interests, we have different characters, we have different mentalities, so we are doing different things. But as teammates we are quite close.
Off the track, the drivers' lifestyles differ greatly. Although Austrian, Berger has chosen the heart of the Grand Prix world and the tax exiles haven of Monaco as his home. Living on a £4 million yacht in the harbour, he's never out of the media spotlight.
My home Grand Prix. It's a very special Grand Prix, very difficult because you have some extra pressure here. All the sponsors are here, or more media is looking here, more fans are here, more people looking this Grand Prix than any other Grand Prix. It's a big sport event here. And you want to do extra good, and you always, when you want to do extra good, you do extra bad as usual. So the best thing is just to start relax and try to do it in an easy way. I'm living here, so it means something for me.
In contrast, Alesi wants a life away from it all. He combines a millionaire's lifestyle with all the material benefits, but still lives within sight of his father's car mechanic's garage in southern France.
I never forget what I was before to be a Formula One driver, and I love to spend time with my family because of that.
Beautiful, I love this place. I born in Avignon, but especially, you know, with Formula One. I like to be in a place where the weather is good and the friends also. No, Avignon is a very old city. It's a wonderful place. In south of France, people are a little bit lazy. So when people are lazy, the atmosphere is good. And I born here and I have all the friends. I like to
to come here and to speak about many funny things and not Formula One anymore, you know.
But the world of Formula One goes on without Alesi Berger. For Benetton, that means a series of arduous test days in Barcelona to try and search for the problems that they faced in the first races of the season. The test teams don't normally go to races, except to Monaco, where an extra car is required as backup. They work solely during the week, when there's time to evaluate successes and failures of the season so far.
Testing's extremely hard. We can run here till 8 o'clock at night. So if you imagine at a race you're running till 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then you're working till 10, 11, you run till 8 o'clock here, so you're working till 2 in the morning normally. Sometimes later, you know, if you've got a problem.
If there's an error, these will carry on flashing.
We have new drivers than what we did have when we were with Schumacher in 94 and 95. We're still trying to get those drivers to work with the engineers to a better degree. Drivers in particular are a big element because the feedback we get from drivers is so important to the engineers. The mechanics know how to set the cars up. You introduce new elements, it does take a time. So we need a win.
The man in the hot seat isn't Alesi Berger, but test driver Alexander Wurz. Beginning his Formula One career at a big team like Benetton is a great start for him, but rather than racing, his priority here is to work through the problems the other drivers have been facing.
I mean, I'm 22 years old, so it's plenty of time for me, and one season as a test driver is very good. For example, the last really famous test driver was Damon Hill. He was test driver for Williams, and now he's world champion. For me, it's very, very positive to be the test driver. I can learn 1 year, I can drive many miles in a Formula One car, and maybe the year after or in 2 years when I jump in the car, I already have an idea how to work on the car, how to drive it. And so I think it's a very big advantage.
And then we put a harder piece of sponge on the outside. Okay, we'll try that.
Thank you. I'm always preparing me at the race weekends, like when I have a race, because maybe it happens, then I jump in. But honestly, I don't like that they are injured. If somebody of our drivers break a leg or eat a bad fish, so I don't want that they are injured, but maybe if they eat a bad fish, I don't care.
The main driver's responsibilities to Benetton include a number of off-the-track functions. Here, together with drivers Jarno Trulli and Ukyo Katayama of Minardi, they've been flown to Japan for a press conference. It's also an opportunity for them to have some fun with a local photographer, with an irritatingly strong flash.
New flash?
This is flash.
Yeah, with the new?
Yeah, we see. When we close the eyes, I do like that. Could you step forward together? Just head to head, please. Yeah.
But soon it's down to the serious business, and when the work starts, the fun stops for Gerhard Berger.
Okay. Finish.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I haven't seen Alesi work this hard before.
You finish. Okay, let's go. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Bye. It's out here.
You have the Italian press, so you have to explain what's happening in Italian. And then you have the French press, you have to explain in French exactly what's happened. And then you have English, exactly what you said twice, another time in English. So, you know, my wife, she's Japanese, but I don't want to learn Japanese because otherwise I had to explain also in Japanese.
But as soon as the work's over, it's back to the joking. This time, making fun of Minardi driver Katayama.
Crazy about you. Speak always about you. Okay. You have a new wife for you.
She wants to do the show.
No.
I understand. No.
Monaco, the most famous and glamorous Grand Prix of the season, approaches. The whole Principality stops in its tracks for the weekend as the Monte Carlo streets are taken over by the Formula One circus. Surprisingly, although the race is one of the crowd's favourites, it's one of the most hectic for the teams.
It's very busy here. You work in very difficult situation because the space is very limited for everybody. It's good for the sponsor, it's good for... I don't think so we treating well the sponsor either because there's no space and a lot of pressure from everybody. But it's the more popular race. And look like the people look like the confusion. If you like the confusion, this is the right place to be.
You get used to, you know. Monaco is Monaco, and that's one of the the things that you need to paint. You know, a bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, it's quite good because you're very close to the public. Public can see you, see the cars. That normally in a normal circuit, you just, you know, that's a taboo.
Despite the team's optimism, Benetton's harmony is rocked when Alesi's problems with his car are picked up on by some loose words to the press, and it's alleged he's so fed up that he no longer likes the colour of the car.
What they actually said in the headline was a bad translation of a quote, and in fact it was not, you know, a comment that Jean made by all means. It was something that appeared in the official press release issued by the FIA, and it was actually a bad translation of a quote.
It's very difficult, because if it was easy, we will not be in this situation. The team is really concentrated on it, and is really pushing hard to find a solution, but it's not so easy.
We have probably the two best experienced drivers. The car looks quite good at the moment. Gerhard is very pleased with the setup. Jean is less pleased than Gerhard, but Jean has been trying different routes. We know how the car is going, and we're quite confident that we can do a good job.
To overcome some of Alesi's problems, the team are taking the unusual step of refitting his seat in an attempt to find him a more comfortable driving position. Ironically, the refit is taking place because Alesi didn't have enough time to approve the original seat that was moulded pre-season. Unhappy with the first seat, he now has to go through the laborious process of sitting for a second session. For Berger, his first job of the weekend is another publicity event, posing for world-renowned international style photographer Michel Comte.
You keep talking or?
Keep talking, I'll come in afterwards, I tell you.
No, der kann das not gonna...
Make it smaller, ein bisschen kleiner machen die Hände. Stay. No, it's not important anymore. I got it. Go close to him and film him. Go in there quick.
Put a steering wheel behind there?
No, I don't want the steering wheel, for God's sake, no. It's going to be the longest picture of you you've ever seen. Is it on 20? Yeah, that's it.
With the photography out of the way, Berger can discuss the mental approach towards the weekend's race for himself and Jean Alesi.
It's very difficult to get the right thing in the middle, but
it's difficult for us. I mean, English are always quite calm anyway.
It's funny, you know. I find it unbelievable emotional from Sean's side.
Yeah, it is.
But if you tell me, you know, sometimes you are similar.
No, you can be. No, really, you can be. No,
yeah, I don't realize. So I'm sure he doesn't realize too.
Yeah. But you just flip. It's like, yeah, it suddenly goes like this. So, but that's half of it, isn't it? Just before you guys should happen.
On qualification morning, the technical team are in deep discussion as they weigh up their chances.
These days, circuits are becoming difficult to overtake on, but Monaco is always the classic one that everyone knows. Qualifying is vital here. You really do have to be at the front if you want to get anywhere. So Saturday takes on a special importance, yes.
With a position at the top of the starting grid a priority, the Benetton team hand the car over to the drivers and hope for the best. They've now done all they can.
To qualify well, you need to have a good clear lap, a good balanced car and a good clear lap. Because as soon as you find somebody at the front, you're going to lose a lot of time.
Berger completes his laps, but seems well off the pace. Alesi is facing similar problems, but is nearer the pole position, on a track that the Benettons aren't best suited to.
So they will all be praying that they don't come across somebody in front of them as they enter the corner on their fast lap.
The cars are trying to perform to the best of their ability on this difficult circuit, but at the end of qualifying, Alesi is 9th and Berger is 17th. Since his arrival in Monaco, Berger hasn't been able to get rid of a flu bug, which helps to explain his poor qualifying position.
It's one of the big problems of a sportsman. You have your sports events, and if you have a flu, you try to kill it with antibiotics or strong medications, and you can do it a while, but then the body doesn't react in a nice way anymore. And I tried to go over the Imola race weekend, and I'm still not in good shape because it's one of these things you just would need to give the body a bit more time and to recover without big medications.
It's left to PR woman Patrizia Spinelli to relay what went wrong to the waiting world press.
So, before it's Pat Simmons.
Disappointing session today.
That's Pat Simmons.
Going well in the morning.
Everything is more difficult. It's bad for everybody.
Not too bad balanced car, but couldn't get any grip.
Yeah, that was Gerhard. The balance of the car was not bad, but he experienced the same problem, no grip.
On race day, what little glamour Monaco still offers Benetton is washed away as the rain comes down. It also means a late change of tyres for Alesi as he sits on the starting grid. His problems increase when the team realise the practicalities of starting in 9th on the Monaco streets.
He was unlucky again at the start. He was actually starting on a zebra crossing across the road there, so he lost a load of traction on the rear.
At the front of the grid, Michael Schumacher jumps ahead of pole position Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Meanwhile, the Benetton test team, who've travelled with the spare car, can now sit back and watch the race. Back in the pack, Alesi is having to take a damaging route around David Coulthard. Berger, meanwhile, loses his nose cone as he can't pull out of a skid and is forced to drop even further down the field. He struggles to the pits in second to last place. The team have to work quickly to replace his nose cone, but to make matters worse, he slips his gears as he leaves the pits.
Fine, it's a gamble whether or not we'll ever finish the race, and we've just seen Gerhard come in for a new nose. But with so many cars undoubtedly going out through minor shunts because of the wet, if we can keep on the black stuff, there's a good chance we can come home with some points.
Alesi is faring better. He's one place behind the point and pushing hard behind Mika Salo, who is on the verge of overtaking.
And Alesi there in the blue and white Benetton is all over Mika Salo's white Tyrrell Ford, and Alesi loses it. Now, has he kept the engine running? That's the important thing. There is Jan Magnussen going up into 7th place.
And he stalled it.
And he stalled it. Alesi is out.
Very, very silly mistake.
Alesi is left to return to the pits in a water taxi, and it's a chance for him to reflect on his disappointing season to date.
The problem is when you need to make a result for the team, they want to understand what is going on when the result is not coming out. And the pressure was coming from here, because for me it was very bad to not be able to bring back to the team some good points, you know.
Berger's still racing, but with only 10 cars left in the race, he's not threatening the leaders.
Here's Berger, he's 9th.
Well, we saw Berger nose into the tyre barrier earlier, and I can only assume he must have damaged some suspension. They changed his nose, we saw, but he's been pottering around in the sort of 1:59s and 2 minutes, going absolutely nowhere, more or less last of the runners. I just don't know why he's bothered to stay out there. He's just done nothing all afternoon since he had that incident.
A dim race for Benetton with Alesi out of it. Gerhard Berger, no points, he's 2 laps down.
After leading from the start, Michael Schumacher takes the checkered flag, and Ferrari are left to celebrate another win. For Benetton, it's back to the drawing board. The Benetton team trudge back to the garage disconsolate. A performance without points means the inquest will begin within the rank and file once all are present and correct.
The fabulous world of Formula One.
Yeah. One cannot go on getting poor results all the time, but what we need to do then is to look at why we're getting the poor results and to take action to improve them. I think the beginnings of the problem has been there for a long while. It's just we've now tipped over the edge, and it's become that more apparent than it was before.
I think at the start of the season we were thinking there's something we're missing, and I don't believe that now. I think there's there's a lot of things that we need to bring into line. We're not just chasing one problem.
After his dramatic exit, Alesi expects some shrewd comments from the pit crew who are left to fix the damage.
They're doing anything anyway, those straights.
Coming out for a beer tonight?
Then.
The car didn't have a problem. The car is a good car, but the way to tune the car, the way to set the car was too complicated.
The situation is very inconsistent at the moment. It's very much related to temperature, to surface, to grip situations, and that's what we cannot allow ourselves for a longer period, because if we won't be serious for the championship, we need to be every race consistent.
For Berger and Alesi, it's a testing time as they contemplate the race result. Newspaper reports suggest the pressure is on them to deliver results quickly for Benetton. In the next year in the fast lane, we follow the pit crew to Canada, where events off the track are as important as those on it.
Okay, the one is never enough. We're not leaving until we've drunk 2 anyway. I bet they're still looking over here as well, aren't they? Excuse me, we're hairdressers. And your roots need doing.
Things are about to take a turn for the better, but the driver of the car isn't who everyone expects.
Gerard is going back because he's not feeling well.
Very late, I think 8 or 9 o'clock, he said, okay, now it's definitive that I have to drive and replace Gerhard.